That's all we got is here and now, brother. Good
Good
morning, Mr.
morning.
Reed.
Good morning. Good morning.
Whenever I say that, I think about the Batman movie, Mr. Reed, Mr. E. It's just funny.
I always got Superman because it was Christopher Reeves and
Uh-huh.
I'm Christopher Reed. So we're like, wait a minute, I think I know that name. That's a little bit different.
Funny. All right. So here we are on December 16th.
Yeah, I'm up. While you start off, I'm just sending an email out with the link in it. So
I
go ahead
forgot to
and
do that. Yes, thank you. It's funny because I just open Zoom and go start the meeting. But some people need a reminder that it happens every morning at 9 o'clock.
there we go. Yeah, December 16th. We're 2 weeks, basically 2 weeks into the month of December, 2 more weeks left in the year. And what we've been really kind of pushing for everybody is just to keep you engaged. I know like the blessing and the curse of this business is you have the opportunity to take the time off. You have the opportunity to create some flexibility, to create some freedom, to enjoy your family time, to enjoy those things. But my perspective is if you haven't planned for next year or planned how you're going to start your next year of business off, we probably need to do that before you check out. So that's why we've been doing a lot of different things to keep you engaged, to try to talk about your mindset, your skills, your action, your accountability, your goals, and your focus going into the new year, because we want to start off strong because next year is going to be a good year. This year was a good year for a lot of us. Next year is going to be a really good year for a lot of us. It's just for those who decide to show up. You just don't want to be caught with your pants down halfway through the year saying, oh man, I need to start. I really should have started before.
It's funny. I had to talk with an agent yesterday who was just down in the dumps. And, I pumped her up and told her how much opportunity there was for her coming up in the future. And she just sent me a text earlier last night and said, I cannot stress enough how important it is to find a like-minded tribe who believes in you so ferociously on the days you feel like you can't, they remind you that you can. So that was cool. And then she sent me another text and said, one of my loan officers just wrote me a note, and one of my buyers just called for $1 million prequal. How cool is that?
It's awesome.
Right.
It just
Your
depends on
fortune can change like that.
it just depends on where you look too. So look at where do we live? We live in Florida. What do we have a lot of around our area over here and some areas over across the bay too? Well, throughout the state, we have a lot of retirement communities. What happens right about this time of year? It's 12 degrees in Pennsylvania yesterday morning. It snowed 7 feet in Buffalo 3 weeks ago. So a lot of snowbirds are already making their way down here. So I know people who have business and listings in those communities, and they've had no showings in the last 60 days. And all of a sudden, in the last 2 weeks, they have three, four, five showings in the last 2 weeks. It just starts picking up. So wherever you put your focus is what you're going to be able to see, create, feel, and work towards. Just about what are you going to focus on? I mean, and it can, like you said, it can change like that.
Yeah. 1 second, boom. One thing can happen. And you make
Yep.
$20,000.
Yep.
That's more than most people can make in most of their year. Cool. All right. So what you and I want to talk about today is planning for 2025.
Yep.
So what's the first step of planning for 2025?
Well, we've always said that okay, if you're going to do this in multiple different ways. So first step for planning is number one, like where am I right now? Which means I have to look backwards to see what's happened over this last year to put me where I am right now. Like so
Yep.
reflect. What's 2024 done for me? What have I been through? What have I created? What have I done? What have I got? It really starts with a reflection. It's just kind of saying, holy crap, look at what I've been through and I'm still standing if you had a bad year. Or look at everything I created. I can't believe that I did that much. The funniest thing when I sit down with an agent and we start looking at their numbers is say, okay, well, this is where you got this many pending, you got this many closed, you have this many in your pipeline for buyers, this many in your pipeline for listings. And like, holy crap, I didn't know that I had like $40,000 in my pipeline that's ready to close in the next 3 to 6 months already. I didn't know I already closed that much. Plus the pending puts me here. So we got to reflect. Let's just look back for a minute and assess what we did, where we are, and what we were able to create and say, okay, well, what were my successes this year?
So let's pause on that. What were some of the successes that you agents had this year?
Yeah.
Did you master some of your Moxi presentations? Did you start sending out? I mean, did you up your game for marketing?
Yeah.
Holy
So what are the
cow!
things that what did you win at? What were some challenges you overcame? Personal, business, like give yourself credit for everything that you've been through and everything you've done. Sometimes that credit that you give yourself is I'm still standing. Look at everything I've been through. Look at what I've done. And I came out on top. I'm still here. I'm still standing. There's another shot. There's another chance. And I know I just need to at least assess the wins. I made it through this. I woke up every day. And sometimes your win is I woke up today. I got out of bed and I smiled and I did what I had to do and I got it done. And that's okay. But you have to assess it and start looking at it from a win perspective.
Well, you gave stats last week that 2024 was the worst real estate year since 2008.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I mean, many of you were not here in 2008, but what happened in 2008?
Real estate market crash. Like the whole
Meltdown.
world knew about the United States real estate market crash.
Yeah. We dropped below 4 million home sales. But the average sales price was $200,000 back then.
Yeah.
So now it's 2024, 2008. That's a long time ago. And
16
now our average
years.
sales price is $400,000. So even though the volume has dropped, the money's been better, right? So you still made it okay. So when you
Yep.
look back and assess on reflecting on 2024, thank God we're riding on a pretty high average sales price.
2024 you would have or 2008 you would have done say you only did 6 or 7 deals at $200,000 a pop, so $6,000 a deal, 3%, that's $36,000 minus a split. That's not a good year. But if you do 6 deals in a year, 7 deals in a year at $400,000, now you're looking at twice the income. You're looking at nearly $60,000.
Right.
So it's the blessing is you can live off of doing less. If say you had a rough year and it was a little challenging, hey, you made it through. You're here, you got your deals, you paid your bills, everything is done. There's a success in that. But now what are we going to do to never live like that again? Because we want to start moving forward. We need to shift our mindset because we talk about it every Tuesday. You're reminded it's your mindset, skills, action, accountability.
That's it. All right. So we want to assess our wins and our challenges. So what challenges did we come across in 2024?
Volatile interest rate market, volatile buyers and sellers, unease, political unrest.
How about
Like you,
buyer agency?
yeah, buyer agents, every you name it, you name it, it's affected the real estate market this year.
Yep. And those were challenges, and we overcame them all. Fear. There you go, Levada. Thank you. Um, yeah. So we had some major challenges we overcame, and I think all of you, at least the ones I talked to, are very confident in the
Mhm.
future of 2025. Right? We are commanding our listing commissions are up because we're getting 3% pretty much across the board. Right? Because that's all we have to ask for. And then when the buyer comes across and asks for 3%, the seller says, oh, hmm. So if I pay an extra $1,000, I get the deal. Okay, I'll do that. So we're getting our commissions on the buyer side too, right? And that's where I
Yep.
want all of you to think about going into 2025. If we have higher prices and higher commissions, you'll win across the board.
I really think that, because of the leadership, because of the camaraderie, because of everything that we pulled together as a company and did, we created a win out of the buyer agency. Like we enveloped it, we took it in, we created the buyer presentation, a buyer video. We knew we've got scripts, we've got an attack for it, we know how to handle it. You're earning more money on the list side and the buy side. You're all going to get a raise if you continue doing that. And it's really worked for a lot of you.
Yep. Super cool. Okay, so once we assess and reflect on 2024, there are some challenges we addressed, and there's some wins that we had, right? But now we're going into 2025. What do we have to think about?
What do we want to be better at?
Well, I think there's one, two, three, four, five, 6 things that this email I sent you has.
Hmm.
One are when you're setting your goals, I'm looking on this screen over here, um, career and professional.
Hmm.
So what are your goals surrounding your career and your professional? And one of the things I'm really proud about Century 21 is the awards program, right? They set a program, and many of you are engaged in that. Masters is a huge result. To win a Masters award puts you in the top 5% of all agents in the industry. And what is that now? It's $140,000, I think.
Yeah, it's 139.
139. So $139,000 in gross commission is putting, over six figures in your bank account. Most
Mhm.
people can't do that. So if you're going to set goals, I'd recommend searching them around the awards criteria for Century 21. Because then you get invited to special events and all these other cool things to make you feel good, right? But aside from that, you've got personal development. Chris, you and I are both into personal development. We
Hmm.
do a lot of personal reading and different things like that, and mindset and motivations and meditations and all that. But where do you want to be with your personal development?
I think a lot of this, like we just talked about, when you take looking back in 2024 and then trying to set goals for the new year, this is why I really like it. Some people, hate it, but I really like the wheel of life because you can pull this wheel and you have these six different categories you put on this wheel, assess where you are. Where am I first? On a scale of 1 to 10 in my personal development, I'm at a 5. Okay, well, what would make it a 10? And then we
Mm-hmm.
try to figure out how to fill in that gap this year with how much energy we want to put into that field. Maybe 2025 is going to be a professional year where I'm going to focus mostly on business and not personal. So we have our professional goals, like we just mentioned. What are our professional goals? I want to hit masters. Where was I at this year? What would I rate it on a scale of 1 to 10? I'd say it was a 6 because I got to $100,000, but I didn't get the masters. So I want to get the masters 40,000 more. How do we fill that gap between 100 and $140,000 this year? Well, if we do our business plan like we show you, you need about 4 more deals. One more deal every 3 months. What can I do this year to get one more deal every 3 months? And that kind of helps us with goal setting because a lot of us, when we ask you, well, what are your goals? Oh, I don't know. I mean, we come up with arbitrary things, but if we really break it down into categories, we can see where we were, what we want, and fill that gap because that's going to help create some momentum and progress for us, which makes us feel really satisfied about the things that we're doing, and it causes us to want to take more action. So these categories, that's why I like putting them into. I'm visual a lot of times, so I like putting them into like a chart and a graph and see how do we fill those gaps. So yeah, you have your career and professional, you got your personal development. What about health and fitness? Like I'm big into that because I think that the body is probably one of the biggest keys that you can use to try to create some progress and momentum in every other area of your life. Because when you shift your body and motion creates emotion. So the more you use your body with health and fitness, the more you move and create motion, you can shift and change your emotions a little bit easier. There's a correlation between the two. So, what are
Yep.
some of your fitness goals? And I think that's probably one of the areas that most of us should be focusing a tiny bit more because it'll create a lot of progress in a lot of other areas for you.
Yep.
And then you got
And then
financial,
financials, right?
separate from career. So your career and professional goals, like, so I want to do this much in my business. I want to be in the top 25% of all the agents. I want to be a master's level producer. But financial is, where are you at financially in your life? Do you have passive income? Are your debts paid? Do you have bad debt? Do you have good debt? Do you need to purchase more property? Do you need you want to buy a new car? Like, so where are you at financially as far as, looking forward to the future? And then relationships. How are your relationships, whether it's personal
Let's
relationship?
go back to financial first, because
Okay.
it says saving a set amount, reducing debt, or starting investments,
Hmm.
right? I personally, I hired a financial planner probably 5 or 6 years ago, and he diversified me into different things and forced me to do little things, but little tiny things, right? Start a 401k, start an
Hmm.
IRA. And these little things have grown over time. And so when you set financial goals for saving, which is important, and then um, reducing debt is my big one. I mean, so many people are so laden with bad debt, credit card debt. And it's so, in my mind, it's so simple, to make an extra 5 or 6 thousand bucks by selling one house and pay off your credit cards or your student loans. And so many of our agents are new to the business and they don't realize how much capacity they have to make major changes, right? But a lot of people today are paying huge amounts of interest payments on bad debt,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I would personally, that's one of my things I wrote down: get rid of bad debt. If you had a goal for 2025, it's get rid of all your bad debt. Number one. There
Very
you
cool.
go. Good job, Whoopa. Look at the growth that happens within our company, right? We're just taking little steps along the way and making huge changes.
Yep. And then depending on your belief, so you follow Dave Ramsey, he says before you do certain things, pay off all of your debt. So there's different philosophies. Then there's other philosophies that say, well, you have to invest to create some more income so that it'll help you pay off your debt. So it doesn't matter which one it is. Adopt a philosophy and follow it. And
Right.
don't there's really no right or wrong answer. The right answer is to take action and to do something, because if you do nothing, next year you're going to be sitting in the same place wishing you would have done something this year, done something sooner.
Right. And then we get into relationship goals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so many people are so unhappy in their relationships, right? What could you do? Everybody wants to change somebody else, but what can you really control?
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yourself.
this is all of your relationships: spouse, family, friendships, even work relationships. How do you manage and handle those things? How can you be better? Because I think what you said is the key: is you need to focus on, I can't change everybody else.
Nope.
I can only change and shape and shift myself. I can only change how I react to everybody else, how I engage with everybody else. So relationships is a huge one. And if you're miserable at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself sometimes why. And a lot of times it's us, it's the person that we're bringing to those relationships. And we need to make that shift, because we can't expect someone else to make that shift themselves. We have to do it for ourselves.
I get an automatic text from Matthew Ferry every day, and one of his favorite ones because they're on repeat now. I see him over and over again. Rather than saying, "Why is this happening to me?" say, "What am I doing to cause this to happen?" Right? It's a total personal responsibility thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is very, very, very interesting.
Yep.
And then the last one on this list is hobbies and passions. How many of us get lost in the work and the drudgery of what we do, and we don't have any hobbies or passions? I'll raise my hand on that one. I,
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I'm really proud of my daughter, Samantha. She found a book club that she joined, and they get together once a week and they go to different libraries and they check out different things and they do a little bar hopping and do some things. But she's found a whole little group of people that she likes to hang out with. And it's really a personal growth thing.
Yep.
Tennis for the win. There you go. Yeah. So that's another thing that you can think about is hobbies and passions, goals
Mm-hmm.
for 2025. Because we're, once again, to your wheel story, when you take the wheel that you're talking about and you put your number 6, 8, 10, 7, whatever it is, it becomes not a very smooth wheel. And the goal is to make a wheel rolls smoothly, right? But if you've got little dips in the valleys, it makes it harder. So you got to plan on these different 6 areas and say, okay, my career and professional, my personal development, my health and fitness, my financial, my relationships, and my hobbies are all part of what makes you well-rounded. There's a definition.
Absolutely. Hobbies, passions, things like that. So some things like, a simple question I ask a lot of people when I'll sit down with them is, what are some of the things that make you feel joyful, happy, and excited? And I ask them to write them down. What are some of the things that make you feel joyful, happy, and excited? Little things and big things, like, hey, listening to music while I cook dinner, or going for a walk at sunset or sunrise, or driving with the sunroof open. Like, what are some of the things that make you feel joyful, happy, and excited? And so write those things down. There's one of them. And so what are those things? So when we start asking ourselves, if you're wondering why you don't feel joyful, happy, and excited, a lot of times it's because We say, when's the last time you did some of those things on your list? And you say, well, it's been a while. Okay, well, this week you probably want to schedule to do some more of those things. And how can you take some of those things and create them into a little bit of a hobby or a passion or something that can create some more momentum for you and make a difference? Maybe it incorporates other people. Now those other people create a difference in your life. You never know what that one thing is going to be.
Yeah. But I think the key here is to be well-rounded and have a little bit of something and everything.
Yeah.
And then it says use the SMART framework. You've talked about this a lot on your Wednesday classes.
Yeah. So
Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound.
yep. And
Right.
this is for once you take your your areas of life that we just talked about and you kind of rate yourself over this last year on where you would rate it on like a one scale of 1 to 10, and we figure out what does a 10 look like for you? What would it mean to create a 10 style of life? How do we start creating some action, accountability, and some goals towards making it a 10? And if you sit down and use the SMART framework from where you are to where you want to be, what are some things that would be for a goal that would be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, or real and purposeful and time sensitive? How do you put all of that together? And because that's really what a goal is. If you are going to stick to something, I would frame it with that SMART framework. Because most of us say, "One, I'd like to pay some of my debt down." Good. Here's $2. Go put it towards your credit card. You've paid some debt down, and your brain will find the reason that you were successful, even though it's not what you wanted. So we have to make sure we frame it out. So specific. What's a specific thing when we're looking at our professional goals? Specifically, next year, I would like to sell 24 homes. I'd like half of them to be listings and half of them to be buyers. I want my average commission check to be $10,000, and I want it to be geared around expired listings and my sphere of influence. And I'm going to do that next year. I want to be halfway to my goal by July and finish out the year with those numbers. That's okay. They're specific. Is it measurable? Can I measure if I did those things? It's specific because I know exactly what it is. It's measurable because I know that I can do that. At the end of the year, I'll be able to look back and see if I did. Is it attainable? Can I do 2 deals a year? 100%. There's plenty of people doing it. Is
Yep.
it real, purposeful, and relevant to my life? Yes. Will it make a difference? Yes. How is it going to impact my life? Let me tell you all the ways. And is it time sensitive? Do I know by when that it's going to happen? If you set a goal like that and you're following up with it and you have somebody that holds you accountable to those things, it's a lot more likely that you're going to take action towards it and be able to create an outcome.
100%. So that's smart. Everybody's read about that before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Time bound. I want to just, as a company, we talk about quarterly numbers, right? We do everything. I do everything on a quarterly basis. What can I do this quarter to make a difference, right? And that's a pretty good way to start, right? What could you do in the first 3 months of 2025?
Yeah, I think you want to choose an avenue that's going to bring you a different outcome. So
Mhm.
focus for 90 days on something that you know will bring you success, whether it's, hey, I've done good in my sphere. I'm going to put some focus in my sphere for 90 days. I'm going to make this many calls, this many days out of the week until I get this many appointments per week.
Mhm.
Again, go through those same things, the same SMART goals with your action items.
I love
So,
the story you tell about farming, how a
mhm.
fictitious person became the most well-known real estate agent who didn't even exist within 90 days because
Mhm.
they did what?
They sat down and got focused and did one mailer touch point a week in a farm for 8 weeks straight. And after 90 days, they went in and surveyed the neighborhood. It was a fake real estate agent, fake company, did a once per week mailer for 8 weeks. And at the end of 90 days, they went in and asked them, who's the number one agent in this neighborhood? And it was the fake real estate agent because of the awareness and the action that they took.
Yeah. So imagine any one of you could, for 8 weeks commit to, and I personally like farming. That's one of my favorite things, to
Mhm.
commit to a neighborhood and become the expert there. And in 8 weeks, if you had made a conscious effort to do it, you could take over a marketplace. Yeah.
You don't even have to spend the money to mail either. I
No,
mean,
knock on doors.
knock on the doors. If you're too afraid to knock on the doors, the mailer just sits in there. This is a mailing campaign they did. It got in their mailbox. Some people saw it, or everybody saw it. Some people threw it out. Some people kept it. So honestly, knock on the doors. That's the best thing to do so you can get face to face. But if you're not going to do that, get the postcards, print them out yourself, and just go put the postcards in the crack of their door right above their door handle.
Yep.
Go put those out. Take every single week, put out 300 of them. That's what, 5 days a week, 60 doors a day, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. You take 2 hours where you just go walk up the doors and put a postcard in the crack of the door, 60 doors a day. That's what you do for 2 hours. And then another 2 hours is going to be income generating where you're calling, whether it's your sphere, whether it's the farm, whatever that avenue is going to be that you can create some opportunities in.
Right. But here's the problem. Why am I doing this? Why are you going to go knock on 60 doors a day? Nobody signs up. Oh, it's fun. I'm going to go knock on 60 doors a day. But what's the result of what you get by knocking on 60 doors a day? Maybe it's the bank account. Maybe it's the investment. Maybe it's whatever. We got to have that why. Right. And that's the one thing we talk about a lot is the why.
Yep.
So why are you doing this? If you don't have the bigger picture, you're not going to do the hard effort. Right. Nothing's really hard. Is it hard to call an expired listing?
No.
No. Is it hard to call a FISBO?
Nope.
Nope. Is it hard to knock on a door? Nope.
Nope.
But is it uncomfortable? Yes.
Yep.
So from discomfort comes comfort as you try different things.
Yeah, it's only uncomfortable because you haven't done it before.
Mm-hmm.
It's only uncomfortable because you haven't done it before. And if you have kids, the greatest example of that is watching them try something new that is so simple that they are just afraid to do. Like walking on a little balance beam that's they're 6 inches off the ground. Some kids get scared of it because they don't want to fall. And there's no way that they would get hurt. And you're sitting there holding their hand and they're still deathly afraid to do it because they've never done it before. But once they do it once, then they do it again, holding your hand. The third time they're holding your hand, the fourth time they're pushing you away, saying, "Get away from me." It's like it's the same process. Just have to do it once and then do it again and then do it again, and it starts to get more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're running out of time. So number 5 is break goals into milestones. We talked about that, right? So it's not an annual, by the end of the year, I want to do this. It's what I want to do this quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So we could do that. And then prioritize. Focus on 3 to 5 primary goals and avoid the overwhelm because that's the challenge a lot of us face. There are so many things we want to get done that we get overwhelmed with the opportunities, right? And when you look at our company, I mean, just what we said, FISBOs, expired, absentee owners, Moxi, sphere of influence. Um, there's just so many things we could focus on that we get overwhelmed. And we just need to focus in on something. So my goal for you guys is for this year, for this coming year, to figure a couple of things and just say, that's where I'm going to focus my time. Right. And number one for everybody is your sphere of influence. That is the most underutilized tool that we have. And we have got so many tools now to take advantage of that. Jimmy has done an amazing job creating this Moxi system for you guys to take advantage of it. It really is. It's total. I've never done it myself. Jimmy sends out my emails to my database, and every single time something goes out, somebody calls me.
Yeah, this thing right here, you guys don't utilize it enough, and we prove it every time we used to do the Beggins University class, and that's what we did 2 weeks ago in our in our expand class. We were saying, hey, went through some exercises. So we had a room full of 35, 40 people and gave them a script, asked them to reach out to their sphere, tell them I set some really high goals for myself. I've only got 2 slots left in January to help some buyers or sellers. Who do you know that I can help? They started doing it. Within 5 minutes, we had 9 deals.
Yeah.
Within 5 minutes. So these are real estate agents in the room, experienced, new, moderately experienced. They all should be talking to their sphere regularly, should be calling their sphere, texting their sphere, letting their sphere know. And just by going through and asking them to do something, because most of the time we forget to ask for the business. So if we just said, I need you to ask for the business. I need you to say, I set some really high goals for myself. I only have 2 slots open in January for people that I can help. Who do you know that I could help with a buy or a sell in the month of January? And we had 9 deals in 5 minutes that came out of it. That's an average commission check of $10,000. In 5 minutes, they had $90,000.
Well, talk about the 35 or 40 people in the room. How many actually did it?
Yeah, so we had a lot. We had a bunch of people just sit there. We had some people that kind of
Getting ready to
hesitated.
get ready.
Yep. And then we had a few people that left the room because they had to use the restroom or get a drink of water right in that specific 5 minutes, even though there was, 3.5, 4 hours of the class, and they just happened to need to do it then. We had a few people actually stand up, pick up the phone and call. They got the best results. And we had another, 10 to 15 that sent the messages. And so the people that did it created an outcome. Imagine that.
Yep. Number 6 is plan for obstacles. Right? Is the world going to be perfect? Nope. It's not just not going to happen.
Nope.
Right? So what are some obstacles we're going to see? What happens if interest rates go to 7% again? Doesn't matter. People are still going to buy and sell because they have to buy and sell.
Yep.
What happens if buyer commissions drop? What happens if you can't get a committed agreement to a buyer BBA? Can you adapt to a showing agreement versus a EBBA? Can you adapt to a touring property pre-touring agreement? Yep.
The
So
goal is to the goal is to not pre-plan the obstacles, but anticipate that there will be some. So when the emotional shift happens, when the obstacle comes up, you have more leverage from your goal and your purpose and your why to keep moving forward, but you've already anticipated something like this would happen. And it's not a shock that sets you back where you start going, oh my God, I can't believe this
right.
happened and that. No, we've already anticipated there's going to be some issues. We've already told ourselves that there's going to be a guy at some point who kind of shoos me off his front doorstep or slams the door in my face or whatever. There's going to be obstacles, and
Mhm.
it's okay. We just
You just
have
have to
to
pivot.
anticipate.
Love it. And then this is really important. Tracking your progress. It's amazing, Chris. You know this. How many agents have we talked to have no idea where they are in their business this year?
I talked to an agent who was one deal away from Centurion and had no idea. Like, oh my God, are you serious? Like a month and a half before that, it was like, oh my God, I'm definitely not going to do what I did last year. And yeah, we're looking at a Centurion number with a sale that's going to happen today, I believe.
Yep.
Because
So,
they don't know where they're at and they don't track. And for some people, it's okay that way. They're going to continue to do what they're going to do and they're going to do this. They track other things, they track the actions they put in. I
mhm.
made this many contacts. I have this many calls, this many callbacks, this many follow ups, this many days, this many appointments. That's okay. They may not track the closing numbers, but they're tracking the action numbers, which are going to create the outcome. So
Yep.
you have to make sure we're tracking something.
Well, it also goes to the point that a lot of agents are not focused on the money. They're focused on just helping people. So they go around their day and they just help people all day long, and that works. And in the end, they go, "Oh my gosh, I got rewarded for this," which is
Yeah.
number 8. Celebrate the milestones. I think
Hmm.
a lot of us need to take a little more time to do that. I'm thinking about my daughter Jessica now. I mean, that girl's on the hot sheet like every week. Holy cow! And she's relentless on herself. She doesn't take any credit. She doesn't realize how much she's done.
Hmm.
I talked to her at the beginning of this quarter after the hurricanes, and all of her listings were flooded. So her fourth quarter income was gone. Everything she had planned up to have it sales in the fourth quarter were gone, blew up. Nothing she could do about it. That's a you know an obstacle that nobody planned on. But what happened? All of a sudden, she went out and she started doing open houses and doing this, that, and the other. And she's on the hot sheet every week. Her and Diane, she teamed up with Diane for a listing in South Shore Falls because Diane is an expert in South Shore Falls, and they just had the highest dollar per square foot sale in the neighborhood.
Hmm.
How cool is that? Right? So let's celebrate these milestones as they come across because there's lots of them. Ooh, you can talk about this one. Visualizing success.
I think the visualize success and celebrate milestones, I think go hand in hand. You need to visualize your success before it happens, and you need to celebrate the success before it happens as well. And then remember to celebrate your milestones along the way. They're almost like little cookies that are dropped along the way. But I mean, we talked about it. It's uncomfortable doing something for the first time. Well, sometimes we're not doing it for the first time because you've already visualized it in your head.
Right.
You've went through the visualization process. Part of the visualization process is about creating an outcome before it ever happens. There is um, there's studies that show that they took people who never played the piano before, and they went through and they showed them this video, and then they visualized playing those keys over and over. They used their fingers, they visualized and used their hands and fingers playing those keys. They never touched a piano. And then once they did that for like 3 months, and then they sat down and they were able to play the piano just from the visualization, even though they never did it before. And it happens a lot. They go through a lot of those things. There's a really cool, I love fighter jets. Like, Top Gun was like my thing when I was a kid, but they have a really cool documentary. I can't remember if it's on Netflix or Prime or something, but it's about the Blue Angels or the Thunderbirds, I think it is. And watching them go through their pre flights and go through their meetings, this is literally all they do so they can fly 4 to 6 inches apart in these fighter jets, thousands of feet in the air. They're sitting there at a
At 800
table,
miles an hour.
a U-shaped table, and they're going through their entire flight path with their eyes closed, and they're all moving and going side to side and sitting up, and they're visualizing the entire thing before they ever do it. And these are people who operate at a high level of excellence that's just it seems unattainable, and it's unmatchable. And they go through that visualization process of the action and going through all of that. It's really, really powerful. So you need to take some time to visualize the action, visualize you going through it, visualize you having it, visualize yourself celebrating at the end of that as well.
You know what? You just reminded me of something that Jeff did. Jeff recorded a video, an audio of you're going into a listing presentation. And it's like a 3-minute audio about you're awesome, you're amazing, you got this support, you got this.
Mm-hmm.
All those things are just totally important because as we are as salespeople, which you have to understand, we are salespeople
Yep.
and you control your own destiny. So
Yep.
anyway, wrapping up for now, 2025 is upon us. I really hope I know the next 2 weeks are going to be filled with different things, but if you can carve some time out to um, do some visualizing, some planning for what you'd like to have happen in 2025, all these little topics we just went through, I'll send this out today, but reflecting on 2024, what went good, what could you have done better, categorizing your goals and those 6 areas: career, professional, personal development, health and fitness, financial, relationships, and hobbies and passions. That's a good step. Um, Using the SMART framework, specific, measurable, etc. Breaking goals into milestones. This quarter, I want to accomplish this. Prioritizing what's most important to you. Plan, there's going to be some interruptions. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. You can overcome it. We've done it before. Track your progress. Measuring what you do is kind of important. And if not, we'll help you do that. Celebrate the milestones. I think that's something we all benefit from more of. Oh my gosh, high five. I mean, the best thing you can do is high five yourself and say, damn, I nailed that listing presentation. Damn, I nailed that buyer presentation.
If you want any more justification on that, there's a book by Mel Robbins called The High Five Habit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really cool book, and it talks about just the simple act of giving yourself a high five to celebrate yourself or to pump yourself up. Really cool book. It talks about the physiology of it, the mentality of it, the emotion of it. So if you want some more on the visualization and celebration, check that out.
Cool. And then visualize your success. Now, as you're going into a presentation, as you're going into a buyer call, as you're going into even a lead, right? Visualize the positive outcome of what you want to see. And then
Mm-hmm.
number 10, stay committed to your plan, right?
Yep. Natalia, the book was The High Five Habit by Mel Robbins. So
Super.
if you want, this Thursday we're doing a accelerate class. We're going to be digging into some of the lanes, some of the focuses. So we're going to be talking about some of that on Thursday, revisiting some of the goals, revisiting some of the actions, the mindset, scheduling and things, and then really digging into the focus of what you could do. That's going to be on Thursday in the Apollo Beach office from 10 to 3. Yes, we will ask you to do some things. Yes, we will ask you to make some calls and some contacts. So let's talk about some of that. Show up for that. If you want some help, please go to the nextlevelU.com, thenextlevelU.com. Go to the business plan calculator, fill that out. Your manager will get a copy of it. Schedule time with them to go over it. I've got a ton of resources for all of this type of goal setting, whether it's a wheel, whether it's action, whether it's celebration, visualization. We've got a ton of resources for that. So just let us know what you need. Tracy just said office hours are coming up right after this. We're going to be logging off. It'll start about 9:45. So if you have any questions or want to share some successes or have some open coaching time you want to discuss, hop on that right after that. We'll have the invite that's out.
Yep, there's an inbox, a message in your inbox right now to join that different link. And please turn your cameras on. It's called engagement, right? Let's share some things. And I think if anything happens today at office hours, we should talk about successes. What happened good this week that you're proud of? We gotta do this. Pat yourself on the back a little bit because you guys are doing some amazing, amazing things.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay, that's all we got for today.
Awesome. The
I got a
invite
listing
just went out
appointment.
for office hours. It's in your email. Click on that and join right after.
All right. See you
Happy
in 5
Monday.
minutes. Thanks, guys.